All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Nexus Ecosystem AMA with our special call tonight, all about the Utherverse. And it's going to be a fantastic evening. We've got the whole crew here tonight. Thank you all out there in live land for joining us. We're going to kick it off here right away, and we got a lot of great things happening with the Utherverse. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Peter here first. Peter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic.
All
So
right.
let me give a little backstory here, guys, and then we'll talk about a few other things, and then we'll show you guys a video. Last week, of course, the 26th, Utherverse launched, right, for the first level gray one to get in there. Once they got in there, they found some bugs that just made it to where it was not a super fantastic experience because all the characters were named Chantel and they were naked. Luckily, they had Barbie clothes on, Barbie luck, but they were naked. And so those were things that prevented it from going. But one of the things I want to make sure that everybody understands is this is a massive, massive program, right? We've built a lot of technology. There's Digi, there's NSI. They are not even close to the complexity of making a metaverse work. And I think proof of that is Meta's struggle to get Horizon, right? Proper and right. 20 other players who jumped into the metaverse space thinking, oh, we'll just raise, 50 million, 100 million, $500 million. Oh, we're Disney, we'll just build our own metaverse. And they found that it was not as easy as they thought. They hired game developers and all different types of things to get there and put it together. And you guys know we chose Utherverse because of their experience in the space. They're not trying to figure out metaverse. They've already figured it out over the last 18 years. There are very few, if anyone else out there that has as much experience, patents, technology, everything that's involved in this. And so on Friday, me and Don met and we did a walkthrough of a single player. So in order for the Chantels and the Barbie to show up, it was when multiple players were in the space at the same time. So I said, Brian, can you do a single player walkthrough so we can give people an idea? We got it edited over the weekend, and then of course, then Brian said, oh, by the way, we're ready for doing a walkthrough on Wednesday at 1:00. But I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about this because I'm hoping that going on here and having you guys see this, we will promote the heck out of tomorrow and have hundreds of people show up on the Zoom for the walkthrough, right? So this is like the preview before the walkthrough, so we can pack out the walkthrough and make things happen. But before I jump into Utherverse, I want you guys to know that Web3 is happening, that crypto is here to stay. And something happened today. I'm going to share my screen really quickly, guys. And this shows the SEC is a powerful organization, but it is not more powerful than the law, right? A judge today, or an appeals panel, not one judge. So I don't know if you guys followed the lawsuit, but a lot of people came out and said, oh, this is a flawed decision against Ripple. And, it started to take off and then it kind of leveled down because they talked about it being a flawed decision and there's no way it's going to stand up on appeal. Well, guess what? The panel of judges said, no freaking way, you don't get to re-appeal this. They denied their appeal. They didn't even give them a chance to argue it, guys. The law is on the side of people, definitely at this point, and that's why the SEC is losing cases. I believe, my personal belief is that they can see right through the nonsense of the power brokers in this world trying to hold on desperately to their power. And that's the reason why they're bringing these cases. And I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Same thing's going to happen in Coinbase. The same thing's going to happen with Binance. They are going to keep losing because the cases they are bringing in front of it are flawed. Why is that important to us? Because it's coming, guys. People are going to realize, they're going to learn. And in a few weeks, about 3 weeks, we're going to reveal a new project that we've been working on. that is all about building the community that we believe in to take Web3 to that next level and create the community that can create what I believe is billions, hundreds of billions, maybe even $1 trillion in wealth for the people that participate in that community, digital wealth for the people that are part of that, because we understand community is commerce, the participatory economy, all the things that are coming together. And the reason for us pushing Utherverse is my belief system is crypto 2009, right? Bitcoin, 2015, Ethereum, lots of projects, NFTs sprouted up. And a lot of those DeFi, they've all gotten more attention than the metaverse has, right? The metaverse has had a rocky, Meta changed their name, got a lot of attention on it. Decentraland wasn't all cracked up to be. But I believe because it's a digital world, and I want you guys to think about this yourself for a minute, would a digital currency, blockchain technology, would that function? Where would that function best? Where would be the optimum place to maximize its potential? My belief is in the metaverse. And that's why the metaverse is such a core part of Web3. When you start talking about Web3 being a decentralized, immersive web, right? Taking it to that next level, the only way to reach true immersion will be in a metaverse, right? You'll never be able to do that on a flat web. And so that's why it's so important for what we're doing. So I'm going to stop sharing. Dawn's going to play the video and we'll talk a little bit about it. I want you guys to pay attention to some of the things that'll be said, and we'll talk about them at the end of it, right? Of why it's important, how it will play a part in this becoming what it is. And some of you guys may have seen Facebook, because they've realized that work environments in the metaverse are going to be absolutely spectacular. I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we're done. They have a commercial running right now talking about work in the metaverse. It's going to be one of the core reasons a lot of people go, I'll never be in the metaverse, but their job will make it more convenient, easier, and better for them to work. And they'll be able to do it from home instead of going in the office. And at that point, they're all going to volunteer and say, I'm in, right? I'm going, right? Because I'd rather work from home and get my stuff done than to drive an hour or 45 minutes into an office and play with, office politics. Go ahead, Dawn, take it away.
All right, let me know if you can't hear it or if you need me to stop it at any time.
No sound, Dawn.
Yeah, let's see that. Okay.
Your mute button was on your video.
Oh, sorry. Let me try that again.
Well, they pay me the big bucks.
I know, right? Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah, that was it. Thank you, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, these are the current avatars.
It.
Obviously, these are the current avatars.
Now we can hear it. We can't see the video, though.
I know. Gotta get back to Zoom. Multitasking here. All right. Ready to go.
Corey gets a bonus. He gets to hang out with me tomorrow.
Woohoo!
That's his bonus.
Oh, wait, where is this video now? Okay, here we go.
Obviously, these are the current avatars. We've got a big upgrade package happening to the avatars over the next few months.
Dawn, you can stop it right here real quick. I want to explain that to everybody. So, guys, the avatars that you're seeing right here, they're not bad looking, but they are not the avatars. The reason for this is because as they're tying things together, this is a beta test. So the idea is what we want is for people to test it, see what's working, what's not working, and find bugs. It doesn't need to have the full sophisticated photorealistic avatars in it right now. They are already designed. They are ready to bring into the game. It's just going to be a lot faster and easier to keep updating and fixing bugs and move through the process. So it's really a functional state. And this is why normally companies don't open up to this big of a group for a closed beta. They usually do it with a much smaller group because these are the things. But I just want you guys to know that the avatars that you've seen in the past on some of the videos and stuff, that's the level they'll go to and beyond. But right now, those are those. Okay, go ahead, Don.
Okay.
I'm not going to interrupt you. The rest
already, not bad.
Uh-huh.
Take a look at the clothes. I love this little outfit, but we've got UI elements. Obviously, you can zoom in on face, you can zoom out, you can rotate, around your character here with the arrows, change the styles of clothing. When you see it in person, the avatars and the clothing look pretty amazing. And here we have the user interface, and we're in transport. So transport center should be pretty familiar to everybody in Classic. It's just gotten a little makeover there. And you see here we're using the Xeon browser. So there's a quick bar at the bottom. You've got emotes there. And the emotes, of course, all motion capture. So, so pretty fluid motion.
Yeah, we can toggle between walk and run, but we can also go into a permanent run mode. And as you can see, when I'm in a permanent run mode, I can even go sprinting if I really wanted to.
Yeah, so if you really want to get around, you can do a little sprint there.
Specifically useful for bigger regions. Obviously, this is not the biggest region for it. So, talking regions, we can simply start visiting some of these regions that we have.
Sure.
Let's start with the rooftop.
All right, so you pop onto the dance floor here. Dance menu pulls up. We've got a bunch of fun motion capture dances. So little screen there. Yeah, you're going to use that UI to be able to change your avatar's clothes or, change. Obviously here she's got multiple avatar characters, so different ethnicities, different, features. Yep. And yeah, no, we're definitely, we're going to want to show off what you got stored on your machine in queue for later beta, Yeah. All right, so we're back to transport. You could get there also through the navigation bar. She could have just clicked back on the browser. She could pull up the the events calendar here. I guess we're going to jam out to the plaza. Not much on the schedule yet, but all right, main plaza.
And we should probably explain that this building where I'm running towards now, and here you can see that sprinting is quite useful because this is obviously a bigger area. But this here is the actual transport center that you will exit from. Currently, this would be your first view of the plaza when you arrive.
Excellent.
Right.
And here we have our Pixel Pantheon, our NFT stop.
Yeah, we'll go through some things.
We're not in play mode.
Right.
And this here is a convention center. The convention center is currently being built and should be coming out in the future. And here we have the jewelry shop. This is for buying earrings and necklaces and rings and piercings, stuff like that.
Yeah.
To customize your avatar further. Then
it's a little less
cinema. You can...
little less painful than in the real world. A little easier to get those earrings through your ears or piercing through your eyebrow, huh?
Tattoos aren't quite as painful, right?
Hey, in my opinion, I've never experienced pain getting a tattoo.
Either have I. I don't have it.
I have none. Piercings, on the other hand, those are painful. All right, karaoke.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
This will eventually be out coming soon. There's actually some other tidbits for the legacy users in this place.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we can let them
but I leave that
discover.
for them to discover.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of Easter eggs
Here's a
there.
tattoo
Oh,
shop,
there's the tattoos.
and here's a gym.
Yeah, we'll show that also, I think.
This plaza
All right.
is still under development. There's going to be some changes to this very soon, but it's getting a little bit of an upgrade.
You know what I
Changes
would
so
like
that
to-
it has a dance floor and so that it has fireworks as well.
Right. And the NFT building, I mean, everybody who's got apartments to overlook this plaza. Yeah, the
So
water.
this is the Zabi building, the
Ah,
new
there we
version,
go.
which has all the apartments in it.
Wow. Where my penthouse.
Currently, we're working on the lake. There will be our first animals will be introduced here, a pair of swans.
Beautiful.
Wow.
And I think that's the majority of this place. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies that people can explore and other places that I haven't shown off, but we leave that for them to discover.
Right.
So the stamina bar, if I'm in sprint mode, I consume stamina. And as long as I'm consuming stamina, I can keep sprinting. The moment the stamina ends, I run out and I start walking. And I can't run for a little while until it depletes again. So this allows us to make things like races and tracks and other things possible for people to compete in.
Gamification of it.
Right. It's the very beginning
Exactly.
of gamification of this. So can you pop back to the other avatar?
Sure.
Yeah. Nice. And let's take a seat and check out the movie. So, of course, you know, we're going to be doing a film festival, basically. Oh, you want to? Yeah. You know the best seats in the house, don't you?
I'm going lounge.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of movies scheduled, and we've got the filmmakers, producers, actors. You know, we were waiting for the We're waiting, hoping for the actor strike to end so they can show up. I guess avatars count as doing an appearance.
And there is a movie playing. I know people can't really see this in the background, and it's really dark. But in the build, this will not be dark. So in the editor, this is shown as dark, but in a finished version of this, it's always lit.
Well, when I was running around beta, it was playing, but I took a front row seat, so I had to strain my neck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which also allows me to demonstrate that in normal circumstances, when I jump down and I try and get up there, I can't. While pressing J, we'll have super jump.
Oh, super jump, huh? Yeah. It is beautiful, RQ.
Very nice.
It's
You're
a welcome
welcome.
center.
Welcome center. So,
Brian, can you explain to everybody about the Welcome Center and how this really makes Utherverse different than a lot of the other
well,
things
of
that are being
course,
built?
Peter, you know, Utherverse is all about community. And what we've learned over the many, many years is that community begins the minute somebody, you know, even before, but by the time they land in the metaverse, their community experience begins. So we've created this concept of a universal welcome center. So regardless of which metaverse on our network you're trying to get into and you're trying to explore, all of the avatars will initially begin in this universal welcome center. Our volunteers are going to become very familiar with this place, and you know, power users that want to act as well, we have an official set of ambassadors, but an unofficial ambassador, they can also spend a lot of time in the welcome center. This is where you become introduced to the various features of Utherverse. So how to move your avatar, how to dance, how to change your outfits, how to private message, communicate, what all of these different pieces mean, how they work, but also you become introduced to a volunteer community guide, ambassadors who can help you with your experience, integrate you into the community. So the idea is low level of barrier to entry. We want everybody to come in, immediately feel welcome, have somebody that they can ask questions to. I participated in a lot of games online, MMO style games, where you're dropped into the fire, your chat blows up, you have no idea what's going on, it's very intimidating. We wanted to eliminate that kind of intimidation concept and create a fun environment. So I mean, with one avatar in here, it doesn't look nearly as fun and the screens are just still, but there's training stations put up around the welcome center, there's dance area in the welcome center, so you can really begin your experience. Everybody can begin their experience, and it's very friendly and user friendly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And there's a lot of techniques in here that are built in for the new user to learn about these things. Some of these tutorials have been created, but they haven't really, I don't have them in the live project yet. But for example, when I'm walking towards or near a chair, it will tell me, hey, these are objects you can interact with and click on, so that people will understand, okay, that's how that works. If, for example, a user for the first time ever goes into the closet, it will kind of give them a little bit of an overview of how the closet system works in its basics. Maybe what I can also show off a little bit here.
Because
So
obviously what we've done for closed beta is mostly we've clipped out and commented out a lot of the features. So, we're testing one piece at a time, but when you actually see what's been built, it's a whole other ball game.
But as you can see here as a comparison, this is our complete character setup of all the possibilities of what our character in the future will be able to do. This is all the different clothing slots and clothing options. A lot of design choices go into like, how do we modify the face? What kind of things can we set up to the face? How can we customize these things? If we look simply at something like wearing a hat, that affects, for example, if you're wearing hair adornments underneath it. So we figured out that if you are wearing one of these things and you're wearing a hat, we basically hide these things. So for example, if you have a hair bow and a hat, when you take off the hat, the hair adornment will automatically be shown. The same thing is kind of true for socks and shoes, right? You kind of want to make sure that this all matches. Same with ankle jewelry, for example. I'm not going to go into the entire, people can pause this and see the entire scope of that. Below here, you can see all the skin tones that we have.
Right.
For the character.
I think it's important for people to understand that this has been built. I mean, this isn't just a spreadsheet here. I've seen this in alpha. So, it's not ready to go live. When I say it's built, I mean, obviously it still needs to be connected to everything and polished, but
what Brian, I think, means to explain here in terms of what he means is that everything, usually when you're doing game design, you build something modular. So you look at it. So for example, you look at the ears, right? That is a feature to the character. And then we design that there's the modification for the ears. We do that in a separate project where we can simply modify this and learn how we can modify these ears. Once we have that done, that module needs to be added onto the game.
Right.
So that allows us to do research and development a little bit easier. But the whole character from the ground up is designed to support all these features, even though some of these features are still not directly created. At least the characters are made in such a way that this is not going to be a blocker when we want to add these things onto it. Here you can also see our selection of hairs that we're probably going to introduce as basic standard hair colors, so that every hair has a variation of colors.
Highlights and, all of that jazz. We've got facial hair for, male characters, and we've got, all kinds of textures, and then we've got makeup and, lipstick and your eyelash length or your nail length. obviously the DNA, so you can change your body type, go to the gym and then, flip it to muscular, or go to the ice cream store and maybe
The
a
back.
little less. Right. Depending on your mood. I think this is wonderful, RQ.
That's the design sheet, at least for the character that the developers are following. We'll open also the gym interior. I think that people will enjoy that. Oh, I'm very surprised about this. I think I've shown you guys last time the different gym. This is the updated version.
Yes, beautiful.
And the idea, obviously, that's one of the reasons I added sprinting in. We actually were testing with this morning so that you can actually do the treadmill. The idea for the gamification of like the stamina system is that if people train hard enough in the gym, it can actually reduce the consumption of your stamina.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier to watch to get through an episode or to get through an audiobook when I'm on the treadmill. I imagine it'll be that way in the gym here.
This is one of my personal favorite zones. I do need to find it because I'm out of the map.
I mean, I think that this is fun also just to see how these maps are generated. I mean, these are such an advancement over classic, right? I mean, this is the area. You can explore this map and end up in your very cool cliff house.
I can go safely mountain climbing here, huh?
I don't know about you. You're never safe, but
But you can also see the realism on the trees. As you can see, the needles are pretty well defined, which obviously was something in Classic that was impossible to do.
right.
The trees as well are all unique, meaning that we have a generation system for trees. So as you can see that they have different barks, different rotations when placing these things, which creates a little bit more realism.
And I mean, I think this is just going to be such fertile ground, no pun intended, for designers, decos. I mean, to come in and really be able to create these amazing.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to start off with cleaning out these things so that decorators can easily have empty places and they can decorate the way they want them. We'll first start with that, but the longer term goal is obviously giving people more of a blank canvas
Right.
to work from. This has all the NFTs from one of our partners.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I mean, it's
Very
almost
classy.
like, museum
Like an art
quality.
museum. Yeah.
Yeah, and these kind of galleries are things, we want to have people buy these kind of places, have these kind of galleries for themselves and fill them themselves.
Right.
This is another great one where deco would be achievable in a short term, I guess.
Yeah.
We want to see some of the character clothing and designs of that.
I mean, I want to see one other region if it's ready
Sure.
to load, which is the wedding. I know you're sending screenshots of that today, but
I don't
you
have
have it?
that new region
Okay.
yet, but I do have do I have that open? I can load the old one here.
all right. Yeah, I mean,
So
the
this
old
was
one.
the
I mean, it's obviously an
original.
upgrade.
Yeah, this was the original inspiration, the first pass, as it were, for what we want to do. I wanted to keep the wedding region kind of neutral so that anybody can kind of get married here. But obviously, we can always expand that to maybe churches and maybe beaches and
Concept art. Yeah.
Maybe Brian.
Good luck. There's definitely somebody I would need to talk to about that first, Peter. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
That's very cool. Awesome.
Great.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
great.
can get remarried. I've been married for 29 years. I can get remarried in it, Brian.
You know, I think we will have some demand for who's going to be first. We may need to run a contest. So, but if you want to remarry, hey man, I'm delighted to do that too. So here we're in the podcast room. I mean, this I'm really excited about because we've got people lined up to start doing podcasts out of our metaverse. And of course, with a podcast, you're going to invite some of your audience to come in as avatars and participate. You can have multimedia going and multiple screens. So you can be broadcasting, you can show PowerPoints, you can show video clips and have the discussion while you're broadcasting out to, X, or you're broadcasting out to Twitch, any of these platforms. And of course, the dimension system. So you could really, once we're fully open, have your whole audience come in, whole new ways to monetize, because obviously there could be advertisements. We're going to have a ticket system in place to be able to, do microtransactions to fill up your studio audience, or you could pay people to come to your studio audience. You could promote other podcasts that are coming up next, all kinds of fun, exciting ways for people to extend their social media presence.
The comedy club.
Well, I love the comedy club, so we do have comedians that will be joining us in the closed beta for some shows. So
This room actually has something really interesting that I don't think anybody here has seen. I unfortunately can't trigger it, but these windows can actually be tinted black so that you have a dark room
pretty neat.
for when the
Pretty
show
neat.
is happening. So we basically start off with building these are the apartments, for building off a layout, right? Like how the apartments are laid out. The idea here is that we start with a penthouse design, and we have smaller ones, and we trickle them down in this case. And as you can see, we go pretty deep in detail on the planning, on how the layout needs to work, where things need to be for interactive objects, for where people spawn, for where people come from, etc. We obviously start off with easier concepts before we actually delve into more detailed concepts. We also start off with doing some concepts for the layout itself, on how it looks inside, so that we get a visual representation of the layout. So as you can see, we go through quite a few concept arts before we actually settle on how we do things. For example, here you can see a more fully list of the concept for the wedding region. And we also make notes on why these things are needed, what these are for, what kind of material it is, simply so that it's easier for the designers when they take these things to make a full concept out of it.
Look at this beauty.
Wow.
She's waking up. Intro tutorial.
Thank you for joining Brian, RQ, Anna, and myself on this walkthrough Utherverse. We're really excited over the next week to 2 weeks to be able to roll this out and have you spend your time in the metaverse experiencing this for yourself. As you can see, there's a massive complexity to making this all work, but we are this close. We are on the 1 yard line, ready to take this in for the first touchdown of the game. Now, as with the internet, if you were involved in that in the early 90s or mid to late 90s, that was really just the beginning. That's where we're at right now with the metaverse. So this is the beginning of Utherverse. Over the next few years, the technology and the innovations that'll be developed, especially once the community engages and begin to build things that we can't even think of today. So we're looking forward to seeing you in the next week or two in the metaverse. Thank you for watching this, and we look forward to a bright future with Utherverse.
You're muted, Peter.
I was clapping.
I saw you.
We saw
So,
it.
guys, yeah, we're really excited about it. And as you start to see this stuff come around, and we'll talk a little bit about it. If anybody has any questions, they can put it in the Q&A. Brian will be doing a Q&A tomorrow. So tomorrow, this was recorded, but it was all a walkthrough. There was no finagling the video or anything. Tomorrow, you'll see a walkthrough, more than likely multiple avatars being able to go through that walkthrough. And of course, they'll be able to show you more stuff tomorrow. That time, I believe it's 1 o'clock PST tomorrow. That'll be available. And then, of course, beyond that point, within a few days, they'll start onboarding from the groups, right? Grade 2, 3, 4, 5. Other people will be able to start getting in there. And over the next few weeks, we'll be able to start getting, you know, the base people, the few thousand people between the volunteers in the classic system, the NFT Gen 1, Gen 2, the people who purchased tokens in the token side of things, the people that have bought the packages, all of those people will have gotten some type of an invite. They'll be let in waves, and of course it'll keep building, right? Because as we add more people to the system, it'll strain some things that were working will probably stop working, but they'll get right on it, get that repaired, and then keep moving this forward. I think the biggest thing that we start to get from this, guys, is you start to see where gamification starts to come into play, right? We'll get into that. Hopefully this gave you guys put in a 1. This gave you an idea of the complexity, because you just looked at a little bit of it, right? When you just talk about the characters themselves, right? You saw that graph that was built there. Over just alone in skin tones, there's over 33 different skin tones, right? To make up the diversity, the ability for people to customize and put together what they want. So think about hair. There had to be 50, 70 different shades of hair, right? If any of you guys have maybe ever went a couple times, you know, at Target, my wife's like, oh, I got to get some dye. And you go to the dye aisle and it's an entire aisle, right, of like 17 shades of blonde and all that stuff, right? So that diversity is what's going to give Utherverse, when people go in there, for them to feel uniqueness, right? For them to match something in the beginning very close to what they look like, or how they want to feel, or how they want to present themselves. So this is all, this is a lot of complexity, right? We didn't show a lot of it because RQ had her Slack channel up, but if you guys get in the back, there's like, you open up one panel and there's like 50 different, and if you open up each one of them, it's more and it's more and it's more and it's more and it's more, and it just keeps going in the way that this is. So it's extremely complex on that side of it. You know, when we talk about the stamina bar and we go through that side of it, guys, that's gamification. So going to the gym, you think to yourself, why would I go to the gym in the metaverse? It doesn't make any sense. It does when you begin to think that your character will be able to compete in games and different things, and, you know, contests, things like that, where it's like, hey, oh, you want to learn how to do this, or you want to compete in this race, or you want to be part of this contest, you need to go get fitness, right? And that will give people a reason to go into the gym and do that. And look, you know, Brian mentioned, you know, jogging on the treadmill, right? Reading a book. Think about from a perspective of, you want to read a book. Be kind of cool to do it on a treadmill. So what do? You go into the metaverse, you do it. You're running on the treadmill, and then your eyes become the view of the book. And now you're reading that book or watching a video or a movie inside that experience, right? Changing up the experience on that side. So gamification, being able to jump higher, those type of things. One of the cool parts about this is the different worlds that will be out there. So Utherverse will have its set of rules that it wants to play under and be devised under. Other sovereigns, which will be all connected together, interoperability, will be able to set their own rules, right? Of how you can use the technology, what you can do in it, whether you can be a realistic character or whatever that may be. Another mention was the convention center. How many people here have when I was in the toy industry and other industries, the Consumer Electronics Show, I've spent an absolute fortune just going to shows. How many people here, put in a one, have gone to a busy weekend in Las Vegas at the shows and paid $200-300 a night for a hotel room, and then had to get around and had to do all this stuff? But yet it's important to you because you need the business information. You need a place where you can go walk around and meet 500 people that are in the electronics area or in the pet area, if it's a pet one or whatever it is. But the expense and the time away from your business is just, the two don't match up well together, right? Not to mention you go by the tables and lose more than you wanted to lose, right? So let's not even bring that into the equation, right? And you have to explain to your significant other why you took out seven withdrawals with your ATM card, right? Or the credit card advances, right? So, here it is now. And you'll still go to sometimes to the conventions, right? You'll say, hey, let me go to this one. But what you'll be able to do is attend more conventions much more affordably. And of course, the people that are at those conventions will get more exposure because they don't have to only service the people that are able to get there. A lot of these conventions are set up for small businesses, and it's somebody running the business. They can't get away. They'd have to close their business or someone else run it. In this case, they'll be able to do it. This is the efficiency, guys. I'm harping on this because this is why people will gravitate. So in the history of the human race, we naturally go towards things that have benefits to it, right? Technology, right? A lot of us, when the web came out, my father-in-law, a great example, I'll never do social media. Well, eventually he gave in and did social media, right? We've all been through these things that we said we would never do, but they just become so convenient, so much easier to do that we gravitate towards it. That is the reason why Fusion GPS says there's going to be 5 billion people utilizing the metaverse. Why? Because those experiences, they won't, go and spend 12 hours a day or 3 hours a day or anything in the metaverse. Maybe they just work. So it's a work environment. You guys have seen the struggle with Meta, Facebook, and their employees about coming back into the office, right? And not just Meta. There have been multiple companies. Is it just me, or have you guys seen the 10 or 12 companies fighting with their employees about Twitter did it, right? At one point, fighting with their employees to come back after the pandemic because they got used to working at home. Well, with technology, you can set something up that would be you sitting in front of it, your avatar's there. So the part of the conflict there is, and I know because I know somebody who works from home, trust me, something comes up that they want to do, they'll go do it and say, I'll get my work done later on tonight, right? Right? Later on tonight comes and, it just doesn't work out well, right? So work from home is this great concept, and I believe it can be something extremely positive for our entire society, right? But the businesses need to have a way in order to document and make sure that the stuff is getting done and the time's being put in when it needs to be in, should it? And that is the metaverse. That is the reason for this to gravitate towards it. So a lot of people that say, hey, I won't do anything in the metaverse, when their employer says, look, you can drive the 45 minutes, an hour into the office, or you can stay at home, you just have to do it on the metaverse. They are going to say, okay, let me go download some software and let me get in the metaverse because I'd rather do it from home. Those are the ways that's going to drive massive people into the metaverse. So tomorrow, by the way, guys, in the walkthrough, you will be able to see the movie screen. It looks really cool with a movie up there. The perspective of sitting in a chair and watching a movie, it gives you close of it. Ken had asked about 3D VR. The basis of this that's being built in the background is already being built for that level of it. So I don't think it's that far into the future where you'll be able to start visiting this stuff with VR, as well as utilizing it more on cell phones and different devices and stuff like that. This is being built, as they said, modularly, and it's being built with the future in mind. So one of the things that Brian talks about is when they built Decentraland, they really didn't plan out the future. They just built something, and that has caused a lot of problems, right? It's the reason why it's not the experience that it needed to be. This was built with the next 10, 20 years in mind, right? Being able to expand on it and grow on it, take it in other directions. And this is the most important thing, guys. It's the experience that Brian Schuster has that allowed him to know what not to do and allowed him to figure out what the solution was to make these things work. So one of the big parts of this, you guys know, anybody who knows me, community is commerce, right? Community is everything. And that's where a lot of these metaverses will, other competitor ones, I guess, or whatever, is they'll drop the ball on, they'll think community comes together by itself and automatically begins to gel and to find the right people and match it up. And they think people are going to land and then go, oh, I got to go find all the details to make this a great experience. Brian understands that that's not the case. And we understand it. We've built community long enough to know if you don't have a mechanism in place to guide people, most people will just go, I'm not going to waste the time, and they'll just leave, right? They'll just go out. In the gaming industry, you guys will see this very early on when phone games and that were put together. Tutorials were a little weak. Nowadays, if you go to a phone game, they have massive tutorials that will walk you through each and every single step of it. Why? Because they know if you struggle and can't figure out something, you're going to not do well in the game and you're going to leave and you're going to go somewhere else, right? That's the same side of it when you start thinking on a metaverse. It's just on a much bigger level because a game has set rules and set way to do this. This is more of an open environment that will allow for people to move around and do what they want to. I hope you guys caught that you'll be able to go to a podcast. So I'm a podcaster. I'm just getting started. I need attention. What can I do? I can pay people to come to my podcast, right? I can find people that have an interest in what I'm doing, and I can say, hey, I want to try to get 100 people there. Instead of spending $500 on advertising and marketing and maybe get people to come, I can say, hey, listen, if you come to my podcast and you spend at least 10 or 15 minutes there, give me a chance. I'll give you $5 and I have 100 slots for that to happen. They come, they sit there in the room with it. Instead of just watching podcasts, you'll actually be able to be there and experience it. Talk shows. Think about this right now. If you want to start your own talk show with a stage and a host and guests coming in, what would be the cost to do that in the physical world? Expensive. Think about it in a virtual world. You don't have to fly guests in. You don't have to have red and green peanuts and nuts and stuff, right? Where it's like, oh my goodness gracious, you don't want the green ones, right? Or I only want green M&Ms. You know, I'm pretty picky, so I would only want the yellow M&Ms. But hopefully there'll be somebody to come along like Dawn that only wants the red and the green ones, and then they can still use that same bag of M&Ms. But you don't have to worry about that stuff. It'll be done. Guys, I'm telling you, if you just spend the time and think about the advantages of the metaverse, you know absolutely, positively that it is a major part of the future over the next 3. And I got to tell you, I wish I would have sat down when the internet came out and said, okay, Peter, what do you think the internet's going to look like? Because I probably could have come out with, but what we did, we watched Webvan launch and crash and burn, right? Oh, so maybe products being delivered to people's houses is not what people want. It was just too early. You could have said, hey, look what Amazon's going to become, threw a few grand in, left it there for the 20 years and made yourself wealthy, right? Just off of that alone. So I am spending a lot of time looking at this. First of all, too, is the new thing we're going to be launching in a little bit here, kind of getting things going, exposing you guys to it. It's one of its main functions will be to support and build business opportunities in the metaverse, right? Web3 opportunities in businesses, and then allow for people, the participatory economy, to come in and participate in the success of that and make that happen. And so that is, we have a relationship I'm not going to get into a little bit of details. We will in a few weeks, right? We have some special things coming that if you're involved with us and you're engaging with Utherverse, you'll get more than if you're just going directly, just somebody who says finds Utherverse off the street or in advertising or comes in through one of the other sovereigns. There is going to be a special thing when you're working with the Nexus ecosystem and what we're doing there. And it's not something that's just being given. You know, they're like, oh, Peter, wow, he's really fun to hang out with. And he's so interesting. And, you know, he's handsome. So we want to make things special. We've provided a lot of value. So ROVC. So can someone here tell me what ROVC stands for? Put it in the chat, right? This is the reason for what we're doing. And a lot of you guys have been a part of it, whether you participated in the packages or the token. You show up on these events. A lot of you guys are in Discord. You're some of the most active people in the Utherverse Discord. That is ROVC, return on value created, right? Return on value created. We got to teach Steve to spell return, right? Not a problem though. It's easy to, right? So return on value created. We will get the return on it. It's really what the entire concept of community as commerce is really about. It's all about return on value created. And there's lots of ways to create that value. It's time spent in there. Some of you guys will become volunteers and help walk people in when they come to Utherverse. Some of you will build businesses and opportunities in it. Some of you might even go promote business and get a commission and get paid to go out and sell this and promote this to businesses. Stay tuned in about 3 weeks. You might get a little bit more on that side of it. So, and we really believe, not just because of the patents and the technology, and Brian is brilliant, but because of his experience in this, that Utherverse will be the leader in this space. But guys, even if they're second or third, the opportunity is enormous for the people, the community that gets behind it and engages. So why am I saying this? First of all, please show up tomorrow. Let's have a bunch of people on the call. Secondly, once it publishes, share it with friends and family and get it out there. Definitely participate when your time comes up to go in. If you've gotten a package or you've done the token, you know, it's easy to go, well, I already have it. You know, I'm not going to go. Go download ROVC. You have a stake in the ground, right? If you own an FNFT, you have a reason to take action. Go in there, spend some time in there. You know, if you're like, I don't know too much about it, but your grandkids are over, have them run around. It's a safe place, right? They can run around and they can visit and spend some time in the metaverse. Be a participant. Have us be, when, you know, if I go on there like at, 2 o'clock in the or well, let's say 6 o'clock, because you guys are all at work, right? At 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I go in there, I want to make sure that when I'm walking around, I'm bumping into you guys. I'm like, hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Brenda, how you doing? Right, Christopher? And what will happen is, guys, in this closed beta, because of that people will get the idea of like other people that are coming in that are maybe just Utherverse people. They're going to go, wow, this is a great place to be. It's a friendly place. They'll duplicate that, replicate that. They'll be friendly and things will move forward. If there's an event, like there's going to be starting to be some small concerts and comedy things, if there's an expense to it, make your decision from that. But if there's no expense to it and it's a free event, take a little bit of time and go visit it and experience it and be a part of it. So let's be participants, not spectators. Let's make an impact here, get this thing off the ground. That will allow for Brian to accumulate the resources that are necessary to take this thing to the moon and beyond, out to the universe. And then we, as a community, can then engage with that and create massive digital wealth. I want everybody to type in and repeat after me. What are we going to create? Massive digital wealth. Okay? Act like we're a live audience. And that's the part I'm going to love. I got to have a talk show, right? Because then I could stand up on the stage and go, come on, everybody. What is it? Massive digital wealth. And everybody can come back and go, massive digital wealth. And it'll be just a cool experience and we'll have a great time. Massive digital wealth. That is where we are headed to. That's where we're going. What on Wednesday? Wednesday, they're going to do an actual walkthrough, Kathy. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock PST, we just did a recorded video tonight. They are going to do a walkthrough. Yes, I believe they will record it tomorrow. I'm actually positive that they will record it. Don will send a note just to make sure, but I'm sure they'll record it and have it out there and going from there. One of the other things I want to say too, guys, and then if we don't have any other questions, we will say see you guys tomorrow. Is I just lost my train of thought, but it's going to come back. To that. Oh, when it's your turn, and I already talked about this, I'm just going to reiterate it. When it's your turn to get in the metaverse, please, please, please don't procrastinate, right? Get in as soon as you possibly can, like within 24 hours. The faster we can get through this closed beta by finding the bugs and the stuff like that. And if you do find a bug, don't get frustrated. There'll be a way to report it and get it in there. They'll see the logs too, right? So I didn't really know all this stuff, right? But because I was helping with some of the earlier stuff, Brian said, oh yeah, here's a log. And he said, oh, you came in at, this and all that. And they could see what was happening and going on. So please, let's help them get through this as fast as possible so we can then take this out to the world. And then start having some massive events in it. We've talked a little bit about, Nigel Houston building a skate park in there. There was actually, we saw that we didn't show the video, but we saw the skate park, right? I think there was something there. We couldn't show it in the video, but they showed it. Hopefully they'll show it tomorrow. Maybe they can, maybe they can't yet, but they've already started to build out a skate park for that to be able to happen so people can go in there. And remember, a lot of this stuff, guys, is not just about skating. It's about the community, the atmosphere, the spending time in being able to do that. And again, I want to go back to this. What is today going to be the metaverse will be way more advanced in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Just like the internet, 1995, dial-up, static web pages till Brian created the banner ads, right? No way to advertise, no way to monetize. First banner ads, monetize, move things forward. And now when we get on here, we're on here, we got, 36 people on the Zoom. We got who knows how many on YouTube. I want you guys to think about this. We're on one platform streaming, and we're actually streaming onto another platform. And there is technology where we could stream onto 4 or 5 platforms if we wanted to, right? Reaching audiences. And then what we just did has been recorded on YouTube, and hundreds of people can come and watch it. If not, if we had the audience big enough, millions of people could come watch this content and stuff. I don't have to have a studio. I have $100, camera on my laptop, a laptop in a desk, right? And a green screen that Rhonda threw together, right, for us and put there. Think about the metaverse over the next few years as it launches and people build tools and build on it. Apple didn't fill the App Store themselves. They said, hey, we have this device and we can build every application ourselves, but there's no way we'd ever be able to come up with all the best applications and do it. So why not, instead of doing that, let's create a marketplace. And they're not the only ones to do it, guys. Everybody does it now, right? Everybody has a marketplace and Roblox and all these other things. It's a creator economy, and the metaverse is going to amp that up dramatically. I believe that let's say you wanted to be an influencer, but right now you're like, it's harder now to be an influencer on TikTok. How many people on here ever thought or know somebody who wanted to become an influencer, but it's kind of competitive right now? Anybody? So what happened, guys, is there are people who became influencers on YouTube. And then there's people that on Instagram. And then when TikTok came around, it wasn't YouTube people who said, oh, let me jump over to TikTok. It was new people that came in. I can tell you that the people that are smart, that want to be influencers, forget all that other crap, engage in the metaverse. There will be a whole new crop of people that will come up through the metaverse. And here's the key. Let's say in order to make $1 million a year, you need 5 million people. And I don't know the number in the other platforms, right? Whether it's TikTok or any of them, you need us to make it. I believe you'll be able to take 10% of those people, so 500,000 people, and you would be able to generate $1 million. What it takes 5 million to generate on this other platforms, you'll be able to take a smaller portion of that and generate more money. And the reason why is this: the engagement, the me being able to, as a follower, let's say I have somebody I follow on YouTube or on Facebook or anywhere else. Those are very basic. I create content, you watch the content. Think about the metaverse. I make content, you can participate in it. I make content and record it live. You can inject your avatar in a recorded scene and interact with that information, with what's going on. I can go with you when you're doing something. It's not me watching a video of it. I can stand there as it's happening. And who knows how far this will go as it continues to grow and build and make it happen. I can do exclusive things. And guess what? People will pay money to be part of those. And that's going to generate a heck of a lot more revenue than a static video and somebody paying you a few pennies or a tenth of a penny for every ad that somebody watches when they watch your video. So that's my spiel for tonight, guys. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Anybody else here want to say anything? Marty, it's going to be available on every device, not some devices, every device as this rolls out. There will be no device, right? Your smart TV, your phones, your tablets, your who knows what devices, right? All of that. That's the idea of the metaverse. The idea of the metaverse is it's a device just driven, right? And so in all different ways that you'll be able to engage with. Agnostic, that is the word I was looking for. Thank you, Jan. So I have all these intelligent people that fill in my sentences. Makes my life much.
Indy, it's okay.
So, all right, guys. Well, if everybody would like to just say goodnight, at least.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Thanks for
night,
joining us.
everybody. Yes, thanks for being here.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you. Yes, congrats. We have arrived.
Thank you, Sharona.
Thank you, Corey. Peter, there was 11 people in YouTube at one time. There still is a few there. I think there was 7 a minute ago.
Well, we know we usually get 300, 400, 500 replays on that. So
Absolutely.
and of course, eventually
That
here,
replays
in the next few
posted
months,
in,
it'll be tens of thousands of views and hundreds of thousands of
Yes.
views, and then millions of views as we build the most dynamic community on planet Earth in Web3.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.